Hi, everyone. I'm Catherine Anaya. Thank you so much for joining me for another conversation with a fascinating woman creating change and making a difference in the world. This episode is brought to you by Casco Financial Group in Phoenix, Arizona. Catherine Scrivano is the president of Casco Financial Group. She started her business to help people create financial strength to achieve their dreams. My guest today is an esteemed veterinarian oncologist who, for more than 2 decades, treated cancer in canine patients. Dr. Renée Alsaraff is joining me from New Jersey to talk about what she learned from dogs about living well after she became the cancer patient. Dr. Renée, it is so great to meet you. We are very big dog lovers here at the Women's Eye.
Oh, it's great to be here, Catherine. Thank you so much.
Well, congratulations on the success of your new book. It is called Sit, Stay, Heal, What Dogs Can Teach Us About Living Well. Love the title. You write about the courage, optimism, and acceptance that you found in your own canine patients that helped you in your own battle with the C word. First off, you are in remission?
Yes, I am. I'm doing great, thankfully. So all good there.
To hear. Yes,
yes,
continued great health. And I love hearing that. So thank you for updating us on your health. Let's talk a little bit about that bond with your canine patients that deepened when you were diagnosed. What did you learn from them about living well and coping with your own diagnosis and treatment?
Oh my goodness, so many things. They truly were my recovery role models, and they set that bar higher for me. Treating cancer in animals I've done for a lot of years. And in general, dogs and cats go through chemotherapy much better than we do, right? In general, they don't lose their hair. They tend not to get as sick as we do. But they bring something almost like a magical quality about them. They truly live in the moment. They don't fret about the what ifs. Many dogs come in pulling their pet parent on the leash, looking for a little biscuit or a treat or a nice smell on the way. And when I was going into the cancer treatment center, my tail was between my legs. I was scared. I had all of these what ifs. And then even after my treatment, I worried. I thought, oh my goodness, it took the nurse 3 sticks to get the catheter in. What's going to happen next time? How sick is sick? But a dog jumps off the table and expects their little biscuit and goes on their way. I think all of this negative energy that we have serves to hurt us, right? It doesn't allow our cork to float like we should or like it should. We should be using that energy for positive thoughts and for healing thoughts, just like dogs do.
Well, and they certainly do learn to appreciate the little things in life, right? Like a biscuit.
Absolutely. You know, here I struggled to remain alive, and so many of us do for so many different things. And I get over that hump and I'm in a complete remission. And now my doctors are talking about a different C word, the word cure. And yet I lament because I had some like lymphedema side effects from chemotherapy. So to someone who doesn't know me, it looks like I've gained weight when it's really the lymphedema. And yet I let that bring me down. I feel badly because I had to go up a dress or 2 sizes. And yet, if I was a dog, I would be happy just that the sun came out every day and that I'm here. And this is what I struggled to be here for. I should enjoy the time.
I love how you put that into perspective. I mean, here you were faced with something that you spent your professional life fighting. So when you talk about the difference the dogs made during your treatment, tell me a little bit about what they did for you during that recovery process, because sometimes the recovery is just as difficult as the treatment itself, right?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I couldn't have said it any better myself. I think in part, it actually was twofold. One is just thinking back to my pet patients and those lessons that they taught me. But I think the one that sticks out the most is my own dog, Newton, who was a boxer at the time. And despite his issues, he actually, I diagnosed him with cancer while undergoing my own chemotherapy. Talk about a sucker punch to the gut. But aside from his issues, he was my constant nursemaid. He was the best friend anyone could ask for. He looked at me adoringly, despite that scraggly, thin chemo hair plastered to my head. And that gave me hope, that gave me strength, because I felt whole in his eyes. I felt seen. And that made a difference.
I can't imagine going through this yourself and then having to diagnose Nudie with the C word. What did you learn during that journey that you didn't know before? And how did that help you with Nudie's disease and dealing with that?
It was hard. You know, I talk about in the book how we all have these wonderful four-legged friends, and there are companions. And maybe for some people, they get them and they love to go hiking, or other people sit on the sofa and like to have their cat or their dog with them. But you never think that you're going to be going through chemotherapy simultaneously with your dog. For him, he always showed up for our family. He put himself second, if you want to say that, or his needs weren't at the forefront. He didn't lament going in to get his treatment. It didn't ruin his week before, worried about it. And just like I said a little bit before, once he was done, that was behind him, and he enjoyed every moment. He showed up for my son to go and play basketball in, the driveway, and he didn't leave my side. It was really nice to see. He embraced life to the fullest. We always talk about mindfulness, and some of us go away to, spa weekends with our girlfriends. And I'm certainly one of those people. And I'm convinced when I come back, I'm going to do things differently and life is great. And by Tuesday, mindfulness goes out the window. But here we're living with these incredible beings that are mirroring for us how life can be better and what we can do.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think, when you talk about the retreats and going away and coming back and feeling like you're not going to fall into your same patterns, I think we all sort of felt like that coming out of COVID. And it's really been a struggle, at least for me, to hold on to some of that because time becomes so much more important. And because of you, your animal patients, they've been given extra time with their families. You talk about in your book, the cancer journey, but it's also about some of your cancer patients and their cancer journeys. What can we all learn from those dogs and some of their stories that you share in the book? Say, for example, the story about Zoe and Zoe's remarkable recovery.
Yeah. So I think the overriding theme, at least for me in the book, is dogs don't just serve as great comfort. They serve as incredible guides for when we struggle, and we all struggle. So every chapter is about a different patient with different life lessons. Zoe happened to be a 6-year-old female spayed bloodhound who was a search and rescue dog. She came in with her police partner, and she started out, so she had a terrible cancer in her stomach. She only had about 3 months to live. And it's been 6 years and she is still alive. She actually came to a book event. She stole the show. It was great. But for her, I think she has two main lessons. And one of them is the sum of her and her police partner's efforts are far superior than what the two can accomplish alone. Mm-hmm. And if we even take that out a little step further, right, our lives are not just better because dogs are in them, but we can do so much more. They help with search and rescue or, drug or bomb sniffing dogs. They give independence for some special needs people. They also just make my life happier. The other big lesson for her is, so she is this wrinkly, slobbering bloodhound who at the time when we first started treating her was about 72 pounds. And at the end of her treatment, actually even today, she is 121 pounds. Girlfriend gained 50 pounds. She lumbers when she walks. Everyone at the precinct gave her little treats and biscuits and felt sorry for her. But she embraces it. She doesn't lament her extra pounds, unlike me when I look in the mirror. It's just a celebration of our imperfections, and we all have those things, and we shouldn't let those bring us down.
That is such a great example of appreciating every day, no matter what we look like or what we think about ourselves on that particular day. Because like you said, it ebbs and flows. I'm a dog mom as well. Gunner, my 125-pound Rhodesian Ridgeback, brings me, our family, so much joy. I really couldn't imagine our lives without him. That pet-human connection is so strong. Those bonds really do bring out the best in us, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And to sort of get a front row seat to the enormous power that that human animal bond plays in our lives is hopefully what the reader will get out of the book.
There is scientific research proving that dogs can improve our health physically, emotionally, mentally. Can you tell me a little bit more about that healing nature and how they uniquely understand humans? Because I know my dog knows when I'm not feeling well, when I'm upset, when I'm hurt, when I'm happy.
Yes, it is so true. I fully believe that dogs possess this magical quality, and they can see us better than we can often see each other. I'm going to digress just a little bit. There have been numerous studies that it helps lower our blood pressure. It helps lower our cholesterol. It helps us to vasodilate, meaning our circulation is better, our skin is warmer. It helps kids that have ADHD or those children that are type 1 diabetics and have to learn to give themselves insulin. They have such great health benefits, increasing our endorphins. Even looking at a fish tank has been shown to physically help us. But back actually to the first chapter, Daisy is a Cocker Spaniel, and she possessed this fantastic quality about her. The family had adopted a special needs girl. She could not do much for herself. She was held in place in her chair with these straps. She couldn't eat. She couldn't talk. They had to feed her with a feeding tube through her stomach. She couldn't use her hands and legs. But her dog, Daisy, knew exactly what this little girl was saying. In addition to all of this, the girl has epilepsy. And without any formal training whatsoever, their Cocker Spaniel became a seizure alert dog for the parents because the girl could never articulate for herself. And so then the parents were able to institute care and get to her before the seizure actually happened.
It's just incredible. I've done stories on an organization called Soldier's Best Friend, where dogs are trained and then paired with military coming back home and suffering from PTSD. And they really are life changers for a lot of these folks. And you being a veterinarian oncologist, you obviously know about that human dog connection, but is there something that happened during your journey that led you to maybe look at that connection a little differently than maybe you did before, or appreciate it a little differently than you did before?
Absolutely. It was as if a light bulb went off. I saw it before my diagnosis. I think I would say that I saw it. I wanted to be a veterinarian my entire life. It just made me feel whole. I had this huge connection to animals. I loved being able to help the pet families, but I didn't see it the same way I do now. I really didn't. I knew that our four-legged friends were special, but not as special as they really are. Not the lessons that they mirror for us on a day-to-day basis.
That is so absolutely beautiful. And if you could just expand a little bit on, that example of unconditional love and empathy and living in the moment that we can all learn from our dogs.
Right. Well, here's another lesson in that line. Dogs are never judgmental. Right? They can be happy, they are sad, they can be excited for us or eager, but they'll never look at us with a judgmental stare. They'll never judge us based on our work history, or if I said something foolish or had a misstep. I think it's human nature for us all to be a little judgy, and yet we're all a little better off when we're not so judgy. But even if I take that lesson sort of one step further, I tend to have this voice in my head, and she's not always so nice. In fact, she's rarely ever nice. She's terribly judgy and judgmental, but my dog would never be like that. And my dog doesn't have that voice pushing him down or her down. If we can take a cue, right, from our dogs, we would be all a whole lot better off.
Well, I sing to my dog almost daily, and the way he looks at me when I do, I think he is being judgmental. But I hope it's from a place of love. But as I mentioned before, your book is full of life lessons from dogs. And what do you feel was the most important life lesson, in your opinion?
I think, and it changes, I have to admit, Catherine, it depends on the day and the week and where I am in life, but that dogs are pack animals. They survived in the wild as pack animals. They helped each other hunt. They were there for security. They even laid on each other for warmth. We buy these weighted blankets now as the latest thing to do. And yet, if we've ever had our dog lay on us, it is the best feeling. I know the other day I got home late from an event, and our dog's not allowed on the furniture, but I let her up and she just laid on me. And I told my husband to go off to bed because it felt so healing. And in addition to my life being better for having a dog in it, I think we as a society are so much better off as a pact and supporting each other and helping one another instead of just as individuals.
Well, I think this is a very special, wonderful book. I am so happy to hear that you are doing well. And I appreciate that you are able to convey to us not only your journey, but just what we can all learn from these beautiful dogs that we have in our lives. So, Doctor, thank you. This has been uplifting and encouraging, and I appreciate you so much. And I am going to give my dog the biggest hug when we finish here. So thank you again. You can learn more about Dr. Alsarraf and her book, Sit, Stay, Heal, What Dogs Can Teach Us About Living Well, by going to our website, thewomenseye.com. I also want to let you know the Women's Eye has 2 books. The first is called 20 Women Changemakers, and it's right here. You can shop for it wherever you buy books and at changemakers.com. And our newest book is called 20 Women Storytellers, is out now, and you can find out more about that at womensstorytellersbook.com. And that's going to do it for this episode of the Women's Eye podcast. Dr. Renée Alsaraff, thank you. It has been such a pleasure talking with you.
Oh my gosh, the pleasure's all mine. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
And thank you all for joining me again for this episode of the Women's Eye podcast. I'm Catherine Anaya. Until next time, remember, it's the world as we see it.